Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic University podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Canton III, and we are concluding our coverage of the Disney Plus series, Ironheart, episodes 4 through 6. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, everybody who is tuned in tonight, we are here for basically what we would call a party. A huge party because the man, the myth, the legend, the demon has arrived. His name is Mephisto, and my long national nightmare is over. I just wanted to get that out of the way because there'll be plenty more to talk about with him. But first, I want to talk about Patreon. Patreon.com/MC University Pod. We can get our bonus content, such as Jake and I had a whale of a time talking about the Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer. And I gotta tell you, we didn't have a fun time rewatching the movie, but it was a good discussion for us to talk about what the hell happened in that goddamn movie back in 2007. So if you'd like to listen to that, that is $3 per month, along with subscriber mailbag, every other thing that we do, every single episode of Daddy's Pod here, and everything else that we're going to do in the future, plus the Discord, which we have a wonderful, wonderful band of patrons talking about everything that goes on, not only in the MCU, but outside of the MCU as well. So if you support that, appreciate you. And if you're watching right now on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And with that being said, let me introduce the super producer, Jake Christie. Jake, how are you?
I am so happy for you. I think that this is like, obviously the times have been happiest for you. Number one, when you're 1A and 1B are when your sons were born. And then 3 is when Mephisto showed up.
Oh my goodness gracious. It's a great time to be alive. It's a great time to feel a little devilish. But with that being said, let me introduce our guest, our pal. We leave the key under the mat and he always returns. We love to see him. Rod Morrow, aka the black guy who tips. Rod, how you doing, sir?
Good, man. Glad to be here for this momentous occasion. Congratulations to you. Finally, I felt like I fist pumped for you on my couch. Like he got him.
Oh, man. What a moment. We'll get to him soon enough. But the title of the show is Ironheart. And I want to talk about Riri Williams. As these 3 episodes were interesting in the sense that the question was after last week was how will we see Riri's character evolve over the end of the series and everything that she's done or will continue to do. And what I found so interesting, and it crossed the last 3 episodes too, which led to a lot of people online. I mean, I even had one of the fans of the show, one of our listeners, hit me up with a tweet. I wonder what we're gonna say regarding Riri Williams' decision making. And I think the thing that I come away with is similar to what I said last week about her character. Her character has, since we've seen her and since she's been around, she has had this very resolute, I'm sticking to this, I'm going my way, this is how it's done, it doesn't matter who gets hurt in the way. There has not been the lesson with the stakes as of yet. But now, after this incident happens at the end of this season, I wonder whether that changes or not. And we'll get into that further. But what I found interesting was like throughout all her relationships, whether it's with Xavier, whether it was Zeke Stain, which that's a fascinating thing that we could get into. But everything that she goes through with everybody, still, her steely resolve to think that she could solve the problem, science her way out of it, magic her way out of it, is one of the more intriguing things that I've seen from an individual character in the MCU in a very long time. So, Rod, I want to ask you specifically about Riri and what you've seen in her evolution, or just kind of sticking to the script and what works. What did you think of how her character came to its end at the end of the season?
Ironically, it felt like she kind of reminded me of Tony Stark in that the stubbornness of like it's my way. I'm smart. I already figured it out. I already calculated everything. I already thought of what you guys are gonna say. Nothing can move me. And like that level of stubbornness, and then her own like sort of relenting to like, okay, I guess you guys can't help. but only in the ways that I figured out. And the other thing that she has in common with Tony is her purpose with the armor is once again to put it around the people to stop anything bad from happening. Something that very much like Peter Parker, you can't do. It's just bad things have to happen to people. And it felt like her bargain with Mephisto at the end was the same thing. It was the same like, well, I can't have anything bad happen. If it can bring Natalie back, then the cost is worth whatever the cost is, and I'll figure out the cost when it's time to pay the cost. So I don't know that she got a full hero's arc. I think people were waiting for something at the end of this to feel
Yeah.
like, and then she became Ironheart and she started saving kittens out of trees and shit. And it seems very ambitious, and you almost never see this with shows with black leads, but it seems like Ryan Coogler and everybody was like, "We'll be back." Like you'll see this
Yes.
character again. This is not the end of their story. This is because you don't end on a cliffhanger like that to say, and that's the last of Riri Williams. Like you end on a cliffhanger to go, we will revisit this story one day. Now they may not get the chance, but it was a very bold decision, and I like applaud the audacious storytelling of being like 6 episodes is only enough time to tell half of Riri's story, which is how it feels, and that seems logistically correct as opposed to trying to force a
Yeah.
fast hero transition into her where she just suddenly episode 6 is like, and now I'm saving kittens from trees. So that's how I felt about it. But I don't like, I'm not looking at her as a hero yet. Like I don't even think that's possible. She may have the potential and the talent, blah blah blah, but I don't see that right now.
Yeah.
And I love that idea. I love that idea, and I'll dive into that a little further soon. But Jake, let me hear your thoughts on Riri.
Yeah, I think that like I'm glad that they made the decisions they made because at the end when she makes that deal with the devil, in that moment I wasn't sure what she was going to do, but like nothing we had seen in the show before would suggest that she would turn him down. The only
Yeah.
reason you would think she'd turn him down is because she's the titular character of the show, and titular characters are good people. But she has never shown the level of
Hmm.
humility that would be required to turn that down. Like she is still really immature. She's still really young. Like she really is. I think Roger, like she's not at her hero point yet, and I think that like it was bold to be like, no, where this character is at is not in a heroic place. She will make the bad decision still. Maybe someday in the future she won't, but she's clearly still motivated to go after the hood because of the fear of the safety of the people around her. She's not motivated to go after the hood because she cares about the safety, like because she's altruistic. And I think that it's like I said, I think it's really bold to do that, especially with like a young character that is clearly supposed to be a positive character for a lot of people. And it's like, no, but this is a realistic story we're telling about this girl who is blinded by her ambition. Like she is. Like it's a thing that like you usually associate that with like a rich billionaire character or whatever, but
Hmm.
she is blinded by her ambition. She like and I think that of course she's going to not take no for an answer on stuff with Natalie. And I thought after episode 5, I was disappointed with the stuff they're doing with the AI, where like they had Xavier say that stuff of like it's okay. Yeah, I thought that was bad, and I still think that's bad. But like I do think that her decision to make a deal with the devil underlines why it's bad. Where it's like, yeah, like you are willing to the moment you allow yourself to think you can play God, that you'll inevitably compromise your morals. And whether it's literally making a deal with the devil
Hmm.
or doing something with technology, like there is always a downside to thinking that you can deal or science your way out of something. And like we don't that's not a trait we associate with heroes. Heroes are not thinking that they can undo death through their own ambition. And yeah, I thought that was a really, really fascinating choice to end with. Obviously, we'll talk at the end about the future of the character, but
Yeah.
I would rather them make the choice that is true to the character than feel like they have to wrap it up.
The two comparisons I'd make to Riri Williams is one inside the MCU and one outside the MCU. The outside the MCU comparison I'd make is Franklin Saint of Snowfall. There's just a very symmetrical way that I've seen both of these characters kind of come up and how they view the world and how they feel like they are the sole ones responsible in order to make their world go. And everybody and everything else, be damned. It'll be used It'll be abused to a degree, but it doesn't matter as long as I get what I need and feeling that the way that I do this is the best way to protect everybody, which is in a lot of ways it's a villain's arc. It's a very it's a very fascinating part of this. And from the MCU side, I think to a lesser extent, if we think about the history of Peter Parker in the MCU, Homecoming, Tony Stark chides him for rushing in to save all them people in that boat, and he has that issue and has to kind of learn that part. Far From Home, he has the after the Endgame stuff where he doesn't want to be bothered with being a hero, but doesn't have the responsibility, gives up Edith to a supervillain, and has to deal with the ramifications of that. No Way Home, he gets into a situation where he doesn't want to deal with these multiversal threats that he allowed because he was worried about his friends and his identity and all this other stuff. And he paid the price for that. And as you remember what Zelma says with magic, magic has a price. All of this has a cost. You have to pay at some point.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing Riri. We haven't seen what that price is, but she's paying for it in a different way. And I think when you mention the stuff with the I think the most fascinating thing about that, there is a level of disappointment with how they handled it. But I think in its own accidental way, her asking for Natalie back
Mhm.
does show the terrible nature of what AI has done to people. And it
Mhm.
just makes them feel like, yo, I need to feel this connection that I lost. And the fact that she's in a lot of ways emotionally stunted because of it, it
Yeah.
allows her to that trauma just kind of forces her and gets her at the end where she's ignoring the fact that Natalie's AI the entire time. But then when she finally loses her, and it's because of something that she did, it made her want to go even further and make a deal with the devil.
Mhm.
So that the ramifications of that are very interesting. So that's where this character has so many gray areas morally that whether they revisit it in her own series or in the eventual Young Avengers slash Champions thing, I think it sets up something very compelling. She's very compelling in ways that I couldn't have
A
expected.
thing I really liked about the scene with her and Mephisto is that he uses the word iconic to kind of underline that, like, that is not it. That's the devil saying, like, that's not the same thing as I mean, to go back to the classic line, with great power comes great responsibility. Riri's whole problem is that she refuses. She doesn't want to admit that. She's like, no, with great power, I'm going to be iconic and help. Like, no, 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 no. You need responsibility. If you don't have the responsibility, then like, if you don't take responsibility, then you end up making the deal with the devil. And I really enjoyed that. I really think that like I think it's cool to see. We have so many stories of characters being tempted to do the bad thing, and
Yeah.
then like at the last minute they pull up. I think that is really bold for them to do the choice of like, no, she just does. She does actually make the deal with the devil. Like, and I like that I can use that phrase because she's sitting across she's got a fucking tavern style pizza with the devil.
I
Yes.
also like the
Yeah.
other part of that I like. Um, when she sat down at that table, I in my heart of hearts, I was like, she's gonna take the deal. And but in my brain, I was like, but TV shows don't let the hero take the
Mhm.
deal. She'll turn the deal down, and then we'll treat that like this is character growth. She probably would have taken this deal a while ago or something. And then she took the deal, and I went, no, that narratively feels right. That feels like where you are. You're not at
Yeah.
the turn the deal down like morality yet. And then the other thing is I would be interested in knowing like what the reshoots were with the Mephisto thing because I did not find the conversation about the AI thing to be off-putting um after seeing the final decision she made. When it was happening, I felt like, is this you guys trying to like rationalize this
Yeah.
bullshit? And I was okay with Xavier even being like, I don't like it. Like that was my sister, and definitively I don't like it. You need help right now.
Mhm.
I will help you because you're my friend and I love you and all that bullshit. But like this shit is not cool that you did this. And I was like, yes, that I will take that as a compromise narratively, that she thinks it is okay, and she realized, and when she said, even, it's really more like my own brain trying to, and I was like, that's what I said last week, was like, I hope the show would realize that the show wouldn't be like, no, it's AI so cool. It's like, no, it would just be a mirror of her talking. It's really just her
Yeah.
perception of what she needs to hear. Anyway, all that to say, once she made the Faustian deal or whatever, and Natalie was real, and it ends on that, like, as a troubled moment. It doesn't end like, and
Yeah.
we're happily ever after. It ends like, uh-oh, see you next time, same bat channel. So I was okay with those things.
Yeah, and it's a great parallel because at the beginning of the final episode, we see the Hood, and we see how Mephisto lures him into the trap and ensnares him in there because of the things that he says. I love the verbiage of "I want to be stupid, disgustingly rich."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's just the level of sloth, the level of just lust for money,
Right.
and the way that and I give the directors a lot of credit, and the editing for the way that they make us feel what both Riri and Parker are feeling in the moments that they're dealing with Mephisto. Disoriented, kind of confused. The voice is changing from human to demonic. It was really well done. And so you see what happens to you see how the Hood got stuck in that situation, and it's like, damn. So like, and the way that Riri looked at the Hood,
Mhm.
she kind of looked down on him to a degree, and you got put in the same exact spot as he was, and I found those parallels so interesting. So Jake, how did you think about how Parker's arc kind of came, went, and ended here?
I felt like I think that it was the scenes with him and Mephisto. I think were really interesting. That was definitely the high watermark. I felt like the fact that this all ended up being that he literally was like just actually acquiring companies just to screw over his dad was a little underwhelming. Like especially when like you're dealing with the devil and it's like, oh, he literally just having people sign contracts. Um, but I um I thought that like his I enjoyed the very obvious thing, which always happens in stories like this, but I think it's good to put a point on it that, like, of course, when he accomplished what he wanted to accomplish, he wasn't satisfied at all, and he was wondering why he wasn't satisfied. It's
Yeah,
like, no shit, like, yeah, like, cool, you got all you wanted. Now you're alone, and you have a bunch of scars on your face, and you're not satisfied at all. Like, I thought that was really interesting, and I do like that his motivation was very petty, that it was to be rich, to get back at his father. Um, but yeah, I could have used more. I wish it was a little bit deeper than just that. Like, especially given that we already have Zeke Stain who has daddy issues. Like, I don't. I felt like that was kind of like a shortcut of like we don't have enough time to give Parker a really deep backstory, and so it was just that he had a rich dad who he's mad at. Um, and so I was fine with it. Like I said, I liked the stuff with him and Mephisto because that felt like a very real like way that obviously it's not real if it's the devil, but like the way that people who
right.
are you know can easily get tempted into doing things that they otherwise would not think that they're capable of.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. And Rod, I wanted to give you a question from our Discord because a couple of folks wanted to give some takes, and our pal Emily Ward, she wants some takes on like the whole idea of Parker controlling a Zeke and the
Mhm.
biotech control of that whole idea. And just to kind of give my own spin on it before you go, I found the Zeke stuff slightly disappointing because I feel like he got relegated to underboss henchman person with kind of axe to grind small time villain, where I think that the Riri's betrayal to him, I think could have probably been spun off in a better way than what it ended up being. But I wanted your thoughts on like what did you think of like that whole scene where Parker's making him eat and do all this other shit and basically doing his bidding. even after he was trying to get out the deal.
I mean, it reminds me of I used to play basketball with this guy named Bang Bang who had got out of prison, and he
What a name.
yeah, I think he was a blood because he used to call me Suwu and all this shit. Anyway, he was pretty thugged out to be coming to the YMCA. But Bang Bang used to have this dude that came around, this white dude, and he used to call him Bubba Sparks because he was a bigger white guy. And Bang Bang would be like, "That's my white boy, Bubba Sparks. I'll be making him wash my car and do all this other stuff for me." And he wanted us to be really impressed by the fact that he had this white guy that he could kind of do things on command. And this kind of gave me that feeling. Anthony Ramos, like, basically making this motherfucker do what he wanted him to do. It didn't. It felt like the thing was that he liked having him do it. It didn't feel like I need
Yeah.
him to do these things for me because there's another way. Like, it felt like he could just put the cape on, zip around, and shoot people with curved bullets and take care of everything. He didn't need that guy there other than the flex
No.
of being like, I got me a white
Yeah.
slave. And I was like, it felt like it came out of nowhere. And I honestly felt like they did it so that we wouldn't hate that character. So that next time we see him, he's kind of a wild card. None of the stuff he did to Riri was like of his own volition. Yes, he does have a
Yeah.
gripe with her, but it kind of
A
robs
legit
him.
one, by the way.
Yeah, but it kind of robbed him of his
Yeah.
agency. And
Yeah.
when it ends with him like, we'll to get a talk about this later, and you're like, okay, I guess we're not supposed to know if you mean we'll talk about it like friends or we'll talk about it like enemies. And it felt very contrived. Like that was the entire point of having Anthony Ramos's character, the hood, control him. So that's how it felt for me. I will say though, shout out to that actor.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing some real good I'm not in control of my body acting, which I always think is an
Mm-hmm.
underrated acting skill. I don't think
Mhm.
that's easy. And the like my face
No.
is saying I don't want to do this, and my body is punching the shit out of somebody. Just seem like two incongruent motions, but I think we all just kind of take it for granted now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with that. And yeah, I think yeah, I feel the Zeke part of this story got undercut, in my opinion. I think they were kind of going somewhere with him and Riri and what that meant. I think especially like after the betrayal, episode 4, you kind of get it. They have that meeting at the jail, and it's very short because Zeke is like, "Yo, I can't believe I trusted you," and he reads her for filth. And at that point, I'm watching the show, and I'm like, "Yo, you are right. You are 1,000% in the right for what
Points
you
were
are telling
made.
her right now."
Points were
Point.
definitely made. That man was living a happy suburban life, collecting a bunch of weapons he wouldn't touch, and then she came in there like a wrecking ball and destroyed everything that he was made of. He feels almost like an addict, that got
Yeah,
introduced to a drug that he's now blaming her for introducing him to. And that drug isn't tech, but it's like power. It's a certain level of attitude that Riri operates with. Like, I want something, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna get it done. He started moving like that, cutting up his the plants at his neighbor's yard and shit, and fucked his whole life up within like 48 hours. So yeah, I definitely feel him on that. And then earlier you brought up the hood's motivation,
yeah.
and I'm with Jake in that I do like that it was a simple one. I actually think sometimes Marvel does too much with the villains, and it becomes like I don't know, if the villain hadn't killed that one guy, and I'm a little tired of that. Like, no, just be evil. You're a petty motherfucker. Your dad kicked you out the house. You're worse than your fucking dad. Like,
Way
okay,
worse. Yeah.
some people just want to be filthy, disgusting rich or whatever, and you're just not a good person. So I was kind of okay with that, because I don't think the hood needs to be like a true rival to Riri, like a
No.
mental and like it's not like her Joker. He's just a villain of the week kind of.
Yeah, it's so funny. You mentioned addiction. I feel like emotional addiction is kind of like a highlight of this show for many of the characters, and especially what they're going through. Parker, like especially after he lost the hood in the battle with Riri, like how he was kind of like holding his arms and
Mm-hmm.
like an addict would to a degree. Um,
Yeah, and when
Riri
she
after
yanks the
losing
cape off
Natalie,
of him,
yeah,
he's
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and then like I mean, you think when Zeke took the suit from Riri,
Mhm.
Riri losing Natalie and what that did to her, that kind of just threw her for a
Yes,
loop,
yes.
especially after they came together and their relationship had gotten to a place where they can not only agree but they trusted each other and felt good about where they were at. And
Mm-hmm.
then her losing that, like it just turned like everybody to a degree, all of the mains in this, and then they are just spinning on the web of the devil. Like
It's
that's
basically
the
just it's the same thing that happened with TikTok. You know, everybody was like, "This shit is bad for us. China is fucking pumping it through our veins and is tracking us." And Republicans and Democrats only agree on this one thing being bad, and then Donald Trump passes a law, we're taking it away, and then the day that they pull it down early for just like 48 hours, everybody's like, I need the cape back. You give it back. I need this mother. And I felt like this was a statement on
Mhm.
that. And the AI thing with Natalie and the cape feel very similar to me. And it's interesting that that's what Mephisto honed in on her for. It's like, what are you? I think he looks at your weaknesses and goes, what are you addicted to? What won't you say no to? That's what I'm gonna quote
Mhm.
unquote give you.
Yeah.
I want to give I also want to give Riri credit because I forgot about this. So in episode 5, she's at the White Castle with Zelma, and the whole gang comes in,
Mm-hmm.
and Riri has this girl who can literally do magic spells, and she's like, "Nah, get out of here! I got this." And I'm like, "Wait, you don't got no that goddamn suit? What do you mean you got this?"
Riri is so interesting because she thought she had the suit, right? Because she was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
"Come on,
yeah.
Natalie, stop playing." But Riri is so interesting because I didn't think she told her to leave because it was like, um, I don't want your help. It was more like, I don't want you in my business.
Yes, I
You
want
don't
you
need to
knowing
know
what
who
I'm
these people
into.
are and how I know them. So just get out and don't tell your mama I was in here.
Basically, that's what it felt like. That was actually a fun sequence of her using her ingenuity to fight all them folks and get out of the situation until Zeke got her. That was a fun scene.
That really
But
was, yeah. That
yeah.
I hate I keep referencing this, or some of y'all gonna hate it. Reminded me of Iron Man 3.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
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 great
very much so.
point. Great
Yeah.
point. Yeah, great point. Yeah, when Tony goes into that bar. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
And when
Great
Tony don't
callback.
have access to like all his superior technology, and you see him using his brain to get things done, and that's what she was doing with the whole like
Mhm.
grabbing different items in the back and like
Mhm.
using the watch to trap them and stuff. I love how they set that up in the show too earlier.
Mhm.
So yeah, she reminds me so much of Tony. I've seen the internet comments. I haven't engaged with them, but I've seen so many people try to Tony Stark did, and I'm like, you fucking idiots. It's the same
You don't know
thing.
who Tony Stark is,
You're
dog.
actually
Like that's what
watching the thing you're saying that Tony did, she's just doing them. You just are
she's
so
doing the
fucked
same
up that you
shit.
can't see it.
Yeah, man. It's like the ism, all of the isms just overtake everybody
Tony
when
would
it
have
comes to these
never like
conversations.
when they said Tony made that thing in a box of in a cave. I was like, she made a suit out of a fucking car.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
car.
man.
Mhm.
What are you talking about, dummy? They both will use what they have to make the impossible happen. Their technology is magic compared to everyone else. So what are you? I'm sorry. That has nothing to do.
No, no, you good. No, no, of course, no, you good, man. No, man, we shooting the shit, man. This is a fun convo. I did want to talk about Zelma because this is the first time in a while, like I feel like since Doctor Strange that we kind of head back to the mystic arts, and she previously has met Doctor Strange. So wonder if we got that little Strange Academy thing that we saw at the end of Multiverse of Madness going on. So seeing her character, Jake, what did you think of this inclusion of the mystic arts into the series?
I enjoyed it, but I feel like it was really odd to have this character introduced in episode 4 when she ended up being so kind of narratively consequential. Like The fact
Yeah.
that Riri adopting magic came like I was shocked. I was really surprised that it mattered so much, given that, like I said, just like pacing wise, and like this feels like a character that should have been introduced in episode 1 as even on the side,
Yeah.
because like she's like just as essential as anyone else who's in the garage, right? Like she's, if not more, because she's
Hmm.
but I did enjoy yeah, like the fact that they clearly, like, the thing that they're outlining, the idea is that they're just like, pockets of witches and wizards and sorcerers everywhere, whether you find them in, in Kathmandu or in a random store in Chicago. But no, I also really like the idea that she thought it was Dormammu. I thought that was a fun red herring. Obviously, I knew it was a red herring the whole time because I know that Mephisto was going to be at the end of the show.
Yeah.
But no, I thought that it was I thought the dynamic between her and her mom was fun, and the dynamic between Riri and her mom, like that was a fun thing to play out. Yeah, I I do. The thing I was thinking during that scene, honestly, was really just like, wow, Riri is an absolutely awful daughter in the way that she's like
The
tricking her
worst.
mom. Like that, she's like so worried about keeping her mom safe, and she's like constantly putting her mom in danger. Um, yeah, I would.
In the worst kind of
I feel
danger
like
Yeah,
too. Like,
because she's
yeah.
less charismatic and charming, um, it's really the same thing Peter Parker does, but just we're not laughing. Like
Yeah.
Peter does it, and it's like, Miss Stark, can you do, whatever, and we're like, haha,
Hmm.
this adorable kid is trying to save his mom, but he's not telling his aunt, like, which kind of puts her in danger, and that'll come back later. And then we watch like his aunt die from from like them from like the machinations of the things that he doesn't really like keep her abreast of.
Yeah.
But it feels like very similar. Like she's a kid in over her head who's like, I can control it. I can figure it out. And it's like, it's okay to need help. And that, if there is a hero's arc in this first 6 episodes, that is obviously the arc, is she
Yeah.
doesn't fully make it to like, and now I'm altruistic, but she does make it to letting people in. This last 2 episodes just felt like, especially all the stuff with her mom, just, I'm letting you in against my own judgment of trying to protect myself. I have no choice but to be your daughter and admit that even in my genius brain, it's still the genius brain of a 19-year-old girl who, from Chicago, who it's not the emotionally and all this shit is not necessarily the emotional maturity of like a grown up in my body yet.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And because you mentioned that emotional maturity, I want to go to another question from our Discord from JKL. Asks, was Riri's grief arc, which I'd say is still ongoing, as valid as Wanda's? And do you think she'll be received as favorably in the long term? I'll answer that last question. Absolutely not, because people with all the isms are
Yeah,
just going to be out there regardless. Because even with Wanda, there's the other ism when they
yeah,
were talking about Wanda and her grief arc. Yeah,
right.
but this one got multiple isms. So, Rod, let me ask you, what do you think about her grief arc? Do you think it's as valid as Wanda's, or do you think or her situation is just a lot because of her immaturity?
I mean, both things are happening, right? Wanda was a grown ass woman with kids, and this is a
Yeah.
19-year-old girl, or 19-year-old woman. I think the thing that the Wanda arc is going to resonate with people stronger because we
Hmm.
spent time with her before the art.
Yes.
It's like it's not even a function of writing. It's just we would have needed Riri to be in like 4 projects by now to like match this level of like grief that we should feel that this character we so beloved has lost loved ones. Like we're kind of being introduced to her. She's already in the midst of trauma from a thing we didn't really see. So yeah, I don't think it'll ever feel as rewarding as Wanda,
Yeah, it's gonna
but
be very hard to. Yeah.
yeah, but it is, or is whatever, feel as valid or whatever as Wanda, because our
I want to
connection
give
to the
it
character.
time though,
But
because yeah, I want to give it time.
yeah,
Most definitely.
well, and yeah, and I guess part of that is me already in my head being like, how much of a priority is Riri? Like, how much more are we going to
yeah,
see her? Because that's what it is. Time that will tell the story, right? The more time we spend with anyone
Hmm.
on screen, the more we're like, man, this is a full character. We've been through some things. It's a reason that like we feel Tony and Steve fighting it hit something here. You know what I'm like?
Yeah.
Like when he said, "I thought we were friends," like that shit. I was like, "Oh, I'm watching two 50-year-olds talk about being friends," and it made me tear up a little bit. So I don't know if Disney and Marvel are putting in the time anymore with any of these characters. We've seen what happened with Shang-Chi. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how much they got their foot on the gas for each of these characters for me to ever get to that point. So when I say when I say like I don't think it'll even out, that's what I mean. I don't want people to think it's like not valid or not good writing. It's literally just how do you
Yeah.
invest? You're gonna hit me back in 10 years. Cause that's really what happened with Wanda, right? Like we saw
Essentially.
Wanda in like Ultron, and then like 5, 6, 7 years later, she loses her kids. And yeah, you goddamn right. I was crying. I was like, fuck, not her kids. But we've only spent Wakanda Forever scenes and this
In
with
these 6
Riri.
episodes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you on that. Jake, like in relation to the question, like what do you think in terms of just like how Riri is viewed, and does the grief arc to a degree, what do you think it needs to, I guess, enter the realm of what Wanda is, specifically after we see this deal go down and we know it's going to have a massive effect on her? Well, what do you like, what would you look for something like that to pay off,
To make it as valid as Wanda's,
or
or
to even enter the realm? Because I don't think it could at this
no? I
point,
mean,
just
the thing is,
based off of what the
she's not
impact.
hurting other people nearly as much as Wanda is. So it's not. I think
Yeah,
it's in a
true.
completely different ballpark,
Right.
honestly.
Right.
Like Wanda was
Great
mentally
point.
enslaving people for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Riri is basically for the most part is only hurting herself.
Right.
Right.
Which is like a real manifestation of grief. Like I think that uh, if she starts to lash out and hurt other people, then I think it can enter. But to be honest with you, I think that this is probably the low moment for her. I think that I don't think she's going to go much lower than this.
Hmm.
Because you can even tell that like when she realizes that that Natalie is real, that like she's made of like that she doesn't know what to do with that, and I don't think it's going to take her. Like I don't expect her to go all the way down the same road that the Hood did. I think that she's gonna start building herself back up. So yeah, I don't think it's in the same ballpark. I think that it's the same motivation, but once again, like I'm willing to forgive Wanda because it's a television show,
Hmm.
Mhm.
but she did kidnap and hold people hostage for like 6 months.
No,
So
you're
like it's
absolutely
just like
right.
That
in
was rough.
terms of like if we're actually talking about the ballpark, it's like that's not there's not even the same type of ballpark. Like this
Yeah,
is
I totally
this is
agree.
like a rec basketball park versus Wanda's stadium at University of Michigan. Like it's completely different.
Shout
Yeah.
out to Bang
That's
Bang.
a great point, cuz yeah, Wanda was out there,
And
you
because
know?
I feel
Yeah.
bad for Riri because like I said, Riri is like both literally with like clear you see that there are now the scars on her, and emotionally just hurting herself. Like she's taking it out on herself whether she knows it or not. Whereas Wanda was taking it out
Yes.
on other people.
Yep.
Yes. And the reason that she now has these scars is one, Mephisto. Let's talk about Sacha Baron Cohen, this performance that we saw. Jake, I'll start with you. The presentation, the way that some of the lines, the kind of way that Sasha played the character. I thought it was simultaneously menacing and playful, kind of the stuff that I expected it to be. Talking about it last week, what did you think and what did you see?
I originally, when I first saw what he's doing, I was kind of like a little underwhelmed because I'm like, oh, this is the voice he's going with. But then when I realized the point was that he speaks in a million different accents, because of course he does, because he's not from anywhere. He's the devil. And I really liked the stuff they were doing with the random cuts of him like not talking. Like it
Yes.
made it feel very surreal because it's like you're not actually having a conversation with this person. Like this is not in real space. Like this is not like he is beyond the way that we think of time and what have you. Um, but I like the way that they presented him because he has to be seductive. Like if he's not,
Yeah.
if he is all menacing, then you would never make a deal with him because he's obviously the devil. But like he is clearly supposed to be, someone that you want to shake the hand of, who you can convince you that they can do whatever. And I really like the way that that it just it felt, the thing about it, which I really appreciated, is it felt like he's had this conversation a million times. Like this, what was going on here was extremely significant to both Parker and Riri. But this is just a Tuesday for Mephisto. Like Mephisto makes it feel like
Yes.
this every, like he was clearly not like, this is a sales pitch. Like you're very special, yada yada. And yeah, I think the casualness with which he approached it, I think was the right choice. I think that that's what they're going for. Because yeah, like if you're making a deal with the devil and the devil appears with like gigantic horns and is scary, then like you can be like, wait, I shouldn't do this. But if it's a dude, once again, who offers you some tavern style pizza, which I did appreciate, because I mean, I'm not from Chicago, but I know that Chicago, everyone does deep dish, but it's like no, they also have a different kind of tavern style pizza that doesn't get it today. So shouts to that. But no, I thought that he was really a good balance of, like you said, seductive but also scary.
Mhm.
And I like when he was getting angry with Parker, because like
Yeah.
I like that, because I think that it's very interesting, because at that point he has no incentive. He doesn't need to be seductive to Parker. He already says has a soul. Like he's not, like he's he the sales pitch is where he puts on the charm offensive, but after that he's the devil.
Yes. Yeah. A salute to them doing the little detail of the reflection in the spoon. That was
Yeah.
pretty cool. Like that part. And like you mentioned some of the things that the way that he talks and the seductiveness. I mean, I just love the way that he speaks to Riri, like with these specific lines. I love the exceptional, the terrific, the dogged. Someone inquisitive and curious, the unseen, the unheard. Someone who, due to no fault of their own, finds themselves always at the short end of the stick. And the way he was talking to Riri, he might as well could call her a DEI hire. Like that's just the way that he was talking. Like Jesus Christ, that kind of fits the mold. So yeah, all of that stuff was so interesting to watch. And Rod, what did you think of what you saw from Mephisto as a character? How did it grab you when you saw everything play out?
Well, everything Jake said, I agree with. And then of course, the point you made about how he was talking when he said iconic, this has been my issue with Riri as a character, and not in a like way of like I don't like it. I mean, to me, her main issue is that she sees people like Tony Stark and the privilege they exist with as the reason she's not famous or rich
Yeah.
or whatever. And I think that's a very important conversation to have right now that we're not having, which is because rich people have ruined everything. But we're not having it, but partially because like some of this is jealousy, and it's not real. That's not the same as righteousness. To be like if I had those things, it's not the same as being like, no one should have those things. That's it's a difference between saying this person didn't earn it and going, but I could earn it. Why do we pay LeBron James 50 million, but teachers only make that bullshit where it's like you're just jealous. And that
Yeah.
ended up being like her downfall, is that she's kind of just jealous of those people and the ease she thinks they exist with, because we've actually seen what Tony Stark deals with through and the consequences of all the shit that he has. So anyway, that now I will say like this the whole issue with this series is gonna be that I feel like it's half a story. We just so
Yeah.
like I where I was looking at this like how are they gonna do 6 episodes? Now I'm like, oh, because it's 12 or whatever, it's 18. It's not 6. This is like the first part of Riri's story. And I feel the same way for Mephisto in that I can't judge this Mephisto yet because I need to see Sasha turned up one time.
Yeah.
I gotta see him give us like when Jonathan Majors set a high bar when he was Kang at the end of Loki 1. Cause it was like,
Hmm.
God, when are we
Yeah.
getting this guy more? And with this,
Incredibly memorable. Yeah.
right, and with this, the reflection in the spoon gave me more of that feeling than the like conversation gave me that feeling. Like, cause I want to see him in the all red, wilding the fuck out and talking that shit and challenging people to fights and stuff. And I just felt like we didn't get that. And I thought we might get a sliver of that when he was talking to Parker. I was like, oh, maybe
Hmm.
they'll give us a second of just him wielding like some fucking devil powers on this motherfucker real quick. And he didn't really do it. He was like basically on some
Yeah.
like, Riri gonna take care of my light work. So just keep the cape and we'll
Yes.
see. And I kind of want to see him do that. So that's when I'll make my full judgment. But as of right now, interesting character. Want to see more.
All right. With that being said, I want to take Montel's question because he goes, "While you're gloating, would also love to hear your take on introducing Mephisto in this way now, and what larger ramifications are when it comes to the MCU." I mean, listen, it's great to finally see the character, and I thought it was presented very well. I was very intrigued with that, with everything from the presentation to the stuff that I mentioned earlier about the editing and the way that they did that stuff. I really enjoyed how they just kind of disoriented the characters who interacted with him. That was really cool. Ramifications for the MCU wise. This becomes a very complicated question to answer just because of when this was shot, when this was done, and all of the changes. So let me just give you guys a couple of examples of changes in this series. So one, so the Zeke Stain thing, and I'll trust me, I'll bring it back to Mephisto. The Zeke Stain thing will, when it came to him originally, his character was eventually supposed to be the reason that the Serpent Society had the tech that it has going up against Sam Wilson and Captain America Brave New World. But
Wow.
obviously, because this series got delayed, and then Captain America Brave New World had to take the Serpent Society out and do a whole bunch of changes. We've been through that part of it. That whole situation changed. Um, Originally, we were supposed to see Kate Bishop and Kamala Khan recruiting Riri at the end of this series. That was supposed to be a thing that we were going to see, but because of those delays that took this past the Marvels, they could not logistically put that in the timeline. So that had to be another change as well. So listen, these things end up going way above upstairs Bob Iger stuff, the stuff that happened with Chapek and the content overflow in 2021 and 2022. And then Iger came back and said, "Nah, we can't do this no more." And I think Ironheart was one of those shows that just got caught under that. Mind you, Agatha got delayed too because Agatha was supposed to come out earlier. That got delayed too because of the same exact mandate. They were told to just slow things down. And then for a lot of reasons, it changed a lot of what we've seen and what we saw. And I think for a detriment to the storytelling that the MCU has been trying to do, granted, and then you add the stuff with the Kang and the major stuff, and that's a whole nother story. We've been through that. But the Mephisto part of it now, because this character was presented this way, and it was presented this way now, I do think there is an opportunity to bring this character forward as we get closer to the end of the multiverse saga, and then we move on to what should be a heavy mutant, heavy supernatural side. God forbid they ever get the Blade movie figured out. And I think one of the characters that we are going to see very soon is Ghost Rider. So once you get into the Ghost Rider portion of stuff, Mephisto got to be a part of that to some degree because of the supernatural element. So I think we will see this character again. What I'm hoping personally is that Riri's portion with him becomes a bigger part of what goes on in the Young Avengers Champion series that eventually will come out at some point. And that should be, hopefully, if they do it that way, I think that's a good way to continue her story, assuming that they don't decide to do a second season of this, which I would highly doubt
I
at
doubt
this
it.
point, based off of everything said, heard, and we know how things have gone recently
Yeah.
as far as those things are concerned.
I think that you can get it done if you do some type of champions thing. I think that like as long as you put a priority on it, I think that like what I don't want them to do is to be like, well, no one watched Ironheart, so we don't really need to resolve it because
Yeah.
I think that like that kind of it kind of creates a situation where you're disincentivizing people from ever watching anything you put on TV. Because if you make it basically, if they set up the incentive where if a TV show doesn't do that well, then the movies won't reference it, then that just makes people not want to watch the TV shows because they don't know if they're going to matter, right? Like, I think you have to,
Yeah.
even if it's not true, you have to act like everything is essential. But I don't know. I think if Riri Williams is going to continue to be a character, with like the last shot, the fact that they left the last shot in where you see the scars coming up her arm, they have to resolve it. They have to resolve her and
Yes.
Mephisto in some way. And so like I would love for it to be a second season, but also if it's going to be a second season, it probably won't come out until like 2030. So like who the fuck, it is. I want them to resolve it when they can resolve it.
Yeah, I think my idea for this is I'm gonna take a wild guess and think that most of the younger characters will be in Doomsday in a limited role. So perhaps we see Riri and we kind of see what's going on with her to a degree, and then they transition that to whatever comes after that, and then you could get that story. But I agree 1000% with Jake. You can't give us this and then not resolve it. You gotta give us because the character not only is compelling, but the villain is compelling, and I think Mephisto's one of those characters that I don't think you could shelve.
I
Once you
think
bring him
also
out,
like this will,
yeah, go ahead.
depending on how they handle it, I feel like if they do something with champions, one, it always feels good when each team in the group, or at this point young person, each young
Yeah,
person in the group has like a secret or like a thing that they're not sharing. And because it's a cliche, but the lesson is always like, no, we're your real friends, we're your real family, and you share these things, and then we help resolve each other's issues. And I think, especially with it being magic versus tech, there's just like some
hmm
cool ways I could see this working, like Wiccan helping.
exactly.
Of course, once you got Wiccan, you got Agatha now. It's like this, the spiritual uh entity. And so I would like to see them do stuff like that. If you're gonna keep it to TV series and not everything's gonna make it a movie, then flex that big Disney dollar Marvel, like flex that, like give us stuff like you gave us where it's just Sacha Baron Cohen in one episode, or like give us
Yeah,
that. I want to see Agatha, even if it's just one or two appearances in a champion. Like that's what we want out of you guys.
Yeah.
So I would like to
Yeah.
see that.
I mean, one of the unfortunate realities of the way that entertainment works is that like the thing you want to be able to do with the MCU is at any point have any character show up ever, right? But the
Right.
problem, of
hmm
course, is these people are in contracts where they have like a limited number of appearances, yada yada.
Right.
And so you wish that it was in such a way where it's like that it wouldn't be a big headache to have,
Right.
like it's like honestly, going back to like this series, I think it would be fun if like, and this is obviously too much, like if there was some like actual specifics references to Convertage when they were.
Right.
Yeah.
Not even like Doctor Strange or Wong showing up, but like honestly, bring in the fucking Minotaur, have the Minotaur help out. Like, and I think that like and I'm joking there, but I think that like it is a little frustrating where you're like, well, in theory, it would be fun to have Agatha show up for one episode, but like you can't get out of your head where it's like, well, Catherine Hahn probably only has during contract
Right.
where they have to re-up if it's more than 4 appearances and she's not like that.
Right.
I hate the fact that comes into it
No,
because in
no,
a comic you
I
don't have to worry about
totally,
that.
like I said, I was totally
Yeah.
thinking of that, and that's why I said, then
No,
that's
I
what the
know that.
money,
Yeah, it just
that like
sucks.
this is what the money's for. I'm sure the first time they put Sam Jackson in one of these things, they were like, this will just be cool, and maybe he'll come back and do it a couple more times. And then it just was like, we're making $1 billion. Put him in this one too. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah,
Well, it's only 3 minutes. Who? Okay. Like,
yeah.
then we
The thing
burn
about
an
Sam is he'll
appearance.
show up.
We have all the
He'll
money.
show up.
Yeah, he'll show up for
Yeah.
$3. But my point
He does
is,
like if you look at his IMDb, he straight up does like 15 movies a year, and
he's
I
addicted
respect
to
it so much.
movies. Like we
Yeah.
call
Yeah.
Tom Cruise the mayor of movies, but this
No.
motherfucker's at least a deputy mayor. Okay.
Yeah, Sam Jackson is shooting a movie at every single moment, unless he is 1, promoting a movie, 2, filming a Capital One commercial, or 3, on his 2-week vacation in Italy with Magic Johnson. Those are the
That's
3 times
it.
he's not shooting a movie.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, I think the point you guys make about Jake, the appearances thing is always a sticking point. I just love the idea of eventually getting somebody like Wiccan, like
Mhm.
you said, Rod, involved in this because
And
that's
they've burned
right up
appearances.
his alley.
They've done really cool shit and burned appearances in random places so many times.
I agree.
It's what makes it dope. It's like Anthony Mackie's in fucking Ant-Man.
Yeah.
So I think Thor 2 is when like Captain America,
Yeah,
Chris
Chris
Evans
Evans.
comes back.
Yep.
Like it's like that is why like
That's why it should
you
exist.
took on this
Yeah.
task because
Yeah.
you do have it like that.
Mhm.
Make us feel like you got it like that. I don't give a fuck if Catherine Hahn's the greatest, and I don't really give a fuck if like if Sacha Baron Cohen's working. Get his ass in there for 5 minutes. It don't matter. You guys got the money to make it dope like that.
Like ironically, like the characters that I think you will definitely see the MCU do stuff like that with are the Thunderbolts, because that's one thing that I heard, that they are going to kind of include them more since they're the quote unquote new Avengers. You'll start to see them pop up in different things a little bit more than
You know who else they about to do that with? All the
who they about to do that.
motherfuckers on them chairs in this new Doomsday.
Oh my god.
Them motherfuckers gonna die, y'all. All them motherfuckers dead, bro. They not finna be in that movie like y'all think, where it's gonna be 45 minutes of Charles Xavier. They are getting dealt with by my man Doom, and I cannot wait for y'all to cry.
Oh man, it's gonna be rough.
I hope they play
It's
the
definitely gonna be
X-Men
rough.
theme. I hope they play the
Get everybody jazzed
I
up.
hope everybody get hype, and then they motherfucking erase a planet out of existence with Charles being like Logan, and that's the last fucking thing we see.
I think that Patrick Stewart will probably set a record for the most times an actor has died on screen as the same character.
Yes.
Like movies, obviously, like excluding movies like Edge of Tomorrow, but I think like because Charles Xavier will have canonically died on screen. What? This will be his third time.
So
he died in fourth time. No, it'll be his fourth time.
He died in
X3. He died in Logan. He died in Multiverse of Madness, and he's gonna die in Doomsday.
Die in this. Yeah, that's 4 times.
He the GOAT. Damn. He the GOAT at dying as Charles Xavier.
Yeah,
that's incredible, man. Yeah, there's something about the interconnectivity that lately has not felt as interconnected.
No,
and that's something that, for a lot of reasons, that has changed. But hopefully if things do well, I hope Fantastic Four, like we're a couple weeks away from that. I hope that really has a really good showing, and
when he died, I'm gonna make a meme of Aubrey Plaza's Lady Death that says, "I know she'd love to see a Charles Xavier coming."
Or no, you Photoshop the back of her head into the San Andreas. Oh shit, here we go again.
Spice Adams behind that tree. Yeah.
I know that ain't who I think it is.
Motherfucker love dying, boy.
Oh man, I can't wait to see that. So as we kind of spin off and wind things down, are there any notable things from either of you? Jake, I'll go with you, that from the last 3 episodes of this series that you wanted to note, anything that you wanted to touch on?
I think you were discussing it, guys, earlier. I think that they kind of did give Zeke Stain the short, end of the stick. And because he does have a very legitimate grievance with Riri. Like he has not like, and I'm glad that he didn't murder her, because I don't think that he is. I think he like quote unquote went bad a little, but I don't think he's like irredeemable at this point. He had his life fucked up completely. He's gonna be in prison for life because Riri couldn't help herself from out. Like she really fucked him over. And so I don't like the fact that their confrontation is him being controlled, because it doesn't allow him to express. Like it kind of is just like a half measure. And I don't. It's fine. But like he's definitely a character where I could imagine him never coming back. And then it's like, okay, well then we just left, Alden Ehrenreich getting screwed over by the Walt Disney Corporation again. What else is new?
Oh man, that stinks. How about you, Rod? Anything that you noticed in the 3 episodes that you wanted to point out?
I have so many things. I'm so sorry if y'all have things.
No, go.
You're providing us with free content for a podcast.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Go.
So many
Fire
things.
them away.
I'll go through my bullet points.
Yes, of course.
The crew, those like hot topic motherfuckers, they stayed bad guys. I thought they were gonna try to redeem them like out of the blue, and I was kind of waiting on it to be like, their hearts grew 3 sizes and they love Riri now, and now they're not. All those people they killed, it was just all a mistake. But they made them stay bad, even at the end where they like leave Parker. It's not that they're leaving Parker out of like some, hey man, you're a bad guy. They're leaving because they're like, you fucking betrayed my mans, and now you're power tripping and talking shit to us, and we're not gonna stay here and let you talk shit to us. It was not a true moral victory for that crew.
No, what the show
And they
said
just
is
got their ass whooped by Riri.
yes. What the show
Yes.
said is the show
Like,
said we believe in
yeah.
LGBTQ rights and LGBTQ wrongs. That's what they said.
Yes, that's what I loved about it. Like, because there is that thing, like, low key, this is one of the most fun, complex portrayals of like black and brown people in the MCU.
Yeah.
So many MCUs.
I mean, the good
just
thing about
like,
having a show that's so diverse is you don't need to worry about not making the diverse characters evil, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's always the thing. If you have like one black character in something, you don't want to make them the bad guy because that. But like, if everyone's black and brown, then shit, they could be good guys and bad guys.
And the other part that's really dope about it, in addition to their eclectic styles and all that stuff, is that like even your main character felt that way. Because sometimes they'll do that so that the main character can be morally like righteous. They'll be like, oh, and everyone else is like a wild card. It's like, no, Riri knows these people because she's like these people. Which leads me to another point. Really surprised that like that death stood about her killing the home. I mean, I know she didn't kill him, but like, you know, she let the buddy die. And like, I thought they were gonna give her a comic book get out of jail free card of like, oh, he survived and we just didn't see it. I guess they still could do that, but it wouldn't feel right. Like at this point, it feels pretty final unless they just really got some, I don't know, some type of weird shit that they just never brought up. So yeah, I actually thought that was a pretty bold choice. All the MCU people are killers, you know, but that was a different way to make her a killer, and you know, as a story arc.
I agree with that. But continue.
Yeah, I was just surprised, is all. But I like it. Marvel. Oh wait, I said these two. Only feels like half a story. Marvel technology is basically magic, which is why I want to see this tech. I hope they keep playing with tech versus magic. And especially if they do that with like Wiccan and some of that stuff, if they do Champions, because I think that could be that was really fun to me, watching tech versus magic.
I like the fight. I did like the Hood versus Riri at the end. That was fun.
It was a good little like wild.
It was
card
a good
fight.
like it didn't last long, but it was fun for what it was.
And they did give us like tech versus tech with her and Zeke fighting, so we got both. But the all right, controlling Zeke was so thrown in. It felt like Whiplash. Like it felt like they went from like a real story where he was just like, and I'm not killing Riri, and I don't want to be part of your crew. And I'm like, oh shit, are they gonna fight? And he's like, actually, off screen when no one was thinking about it, I somehow mastered the technology to tell you what to do. I was like,
yeah, that was I like the idea. Like I think the idea of making Zeke into a puppet like that, where he is foisted by his own petard of like that there is no way for him to engage in his dad's technology without being used as an instrument of evil. That is an interesting thing thematically, but you can't do that off screen. You can't turn him into that off screen.
Right. It was too
what
fast.
it reminded me of is, you remember, AC, when we did, I was back in the day when we were looking for things to do, where we did the episode on Dark Phoenix, and I believe that it might have been me. I think it might have been me, and I hate to be able to quote my own joke, where I said that, do you remember the bit in Dark Phoenix where Jean Grey forces Charles to walk up the stairs, and I said that she's controlling him like he's Quap? That's what this was like.
Yeah, holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh man, that moment was so creepy.
That was creepy.
Oh my goodness.
They had some moments. They had some moments in that X-Men franchise.
I mean, I'll say this. I think the bit where Magneto was on the train is just like using a bunch of fucking guns is like awesome as hell, and then the rest of them is not that good.
I just meant like throughout the X-Men.
Oh, yeah.
Like Lord, like they had some moments, dog. I'll never forget Mystique putting the metal in the guy at the bar and then him coming to work. That shit cooked. That was a goddamn heist movie right there, dog. God,
Magneto is like every bit of I've said a million times that the movie that you could tell me go back in time, make any like superhero spin-off movie, I'm like, just give me no plot. 3 fucking hours of Michael Fassbender in Argentina just using coins to kill some Nazis. Nothing else. I don't need a plot. Just give me a list of he's going to kill 10 Nazis this movie. Let's watch.
We are soulmates, bro. That is. I remember
I watch that on YouTube all the fucking time. It's so fucking awesome when he pulls up his arm and they see the 10. He's like, oh fuck.
Bro, we used to do these group reviews with our friends for movie reviews, and I remember the First Class movie review. I was 1000% on board with that movie. And my friend's like, but what about this plot hole? And what about how it doesn't match up with this movie? I was like, I could watch Michael Fassbender kill Nazis the whole movie. I don't even.
That's a really good
Everything
movie.
else was kind of gravy. Only thing that was some bullshit was Darwin getting killed. But other than that, this movie was cooking the whole time.
He pulls the fucking dude's gold tooth filling.
Bruh, he was the. Oh god, I'm gonna watch that again soon.
I mean, Loki. One of my hotter superhero takes is that is my favorite X-Men movie. I know X2 is easy, but I love.
It's mine too. It's mine too.
First Class is really good.
It's mine
First Class
too.
is really good.
And my friends all turned out to be right because they were like, "This is just gonna make them keep making the shitty ones too," and I'm like, "Worth it." Then fucking make them. I don't care.
I mean,
X-Men Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix. Oh boy.
X-Men Apocalypse is the only movie I've ever seen that is both too long and overstuffed. There's just like it's too much stuff going on, and I'm like, I still want this to be over.
Yeah, like that. I was like, I'm like, they need to explain that. Actually, no. Stop explaining. It's
only 2.5 hours. Stop it.
My bad.
They stole all of the charisma from Oscar Isaac. All of it.
It's unbelievable how bad Oscar Isaac is in that movie. Because it's like, if you watch like the making of, it's like, no shit, the man has 17 pounds of makeup on his face. How
right? What a debacle, man.
Man.
Really enjoyed Riri and her mom the last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Parents in the MCU, always a plus.
Yeah, and also shout out to Black Acting School. Because I feel like there's scenes in this show that aren't necessarily the most compelling stories. Like they're almost cliche. But when 2 actors sincerely knock it out of the park in a scene, it doesn't matter that it's cliche anymore. You're like, it's working. And I felt like that with the mom and Riri and their conversations. I also felt like that with Xavier and Riri, especially the scene where he is mad about Natalie, not the one when they make up. That shit,
I love that scene a lot.
Yes, I said that was the lesson I wanted her to at least get hit with. Whether she truly, well, we know she didn't truly accept it and learn from it yet, but a character needed to deliver that in this scene, or else it feels like the writers weren't even aware of the issue, and that's the worst sin you can have as a writer, is to not know what you're putting on the screen and how people would feel about it, you know?
Yeah.
So I really like that. And also Cree Summers and her daughter, like those relationships and those scenes with them, all that stuff cooked for me. Like I really enjoyed some of the not hero moments, but just like the supporting characters. Even the corny montage thing hit for me with the little kid that was like hustling the whole time, and him being like the disrespect when he got the apple juice. I was like, yo, that
I'm happy that he came back at the end.
Yeah, they found something with the like quirky cast of characters in a way that man, I really enjoyed these people and want to see them again. And then the last thing I have for a bullet point was ironically, of all the series they've ever done, this series feels the most like a series where the MCU exists. More than a lot of the other series, because I feel like the other ones are like, these are superheroes and someone decided to put on some capes and fight people. This feels more like, what if people had to live in a world where they knew all this magic and technology and invasions and secret government plot? They knew it was all possible. And so it just affected the choices they made in life. Like, it's not that they're all becoming super criminals or superheroes. It's just, but it changes the morality of a world when you see certain shit happen. When there's a blink and you know people are controlling like sometimes you're like, fuck it, man, get money, or, you know, like, or you see creating a robot suit as a solution to something in a world where you've seen a guy use a robot suit to save the earth. So this one, and like even the stuff they brought up about Carmitage and magic, I'm like, right, because everyone wouldn't be directly a main character. There's a ton of people at Carmitage that will never have a speaking line, and we don't really know their story, but they gotta have a story. And so
exactly.
So ironically, this is the series that feels the most like the MCU exists and people are constantly thinking and dealing in MCU terms instead of like regular everyday terms only.
Comertage
Yeah, I
is
think.
it's a college.
Yeah.
I mean, not everyone can be, some people are just going to be there and just go on and live normal lives. So it's podcasts. It's kind of like, sorry, I was going to make a joke comparing myself to,
Mm.
but I was going to
I-
say something like, Wong is like the Iowa debris and I'm just the random person who is at NYU at the same time.
You
Anyway,
know
that was
what
a
though?
self-centered
I
joke.
now want to see the commercial that's like 1-800 connection, but for Comertage. Like
Mhm.
I need to see that
Mhm.
commercial that comes
No,
on during
what was
Adult
the
Swim.
Everest? What was Everest though? The one where it's like you lazy ass sitting on your couch. You think
Yeah.
you want to have a career in magic? You got to get off your fucking couch and go to Comertage.
Can
I
we
used to
get
be like you, a bum on my couch.
can we get Wong to do that commercial for?
I mean, honestly, I think
Get Wong and Madison together.
Yeah,
yeah, my friend Wongers, he used to be a bum. Don't say that, Maggie.
yeah. Comertage College. I'm ready to see this. I'm ready to see
Yeah.
that. Just that commercial.
Listen, revive. After watching this series, I said like, "Yo, revive Strange Academy. Like, get that thing.
Yes.
Start have Wong run the school.
I
I
mean, the
think
thing too is
you
like
can't go wrong with that.
you can do that on like a CW budget. I don't need that to look crazy.
Right.
Yes, it doesn't need to be that
Just
crazy
be
at all.
fun.
You
Yeah, I'm
Like
with y'all.
that's the thing that's so frustrating about these. Like, we're gonna cut back on these shows. It's too much money. It's like, motherfucker, the CW have 4 superhero shows at once. Like, obviously, they didn't look great, but like, I don't
Right.
need.
Yo, they had that thing. They had people invested for a good amount of years.
It just
Yeah.
feels so
CW
insane
joint,
to me,
yeah.
and this is just a larger thing where it's just like it feels so much of the talk about the entertainment industry is like exclusively about like like revenues coming in. I'm like, it's a two-way street. You like your local diner doesn't need to have as much of a profit as the whole McDonald's corporation. Like you can
Yeah.
make it smaller.
And they always do
I-
make it seem so random whenever one of these movies is a major hit but had a not that expensive a budget. They always make that seem like that's the random thing.
Yeah,
But it's like that's actually not. It's more. It feels like it's more pressure went for a movie to make $1 billion because you spent $1 billion. Like
of course.
that's
yeah.
the one that seems like it's not gonna. That's the long bet.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's like give me Strange Academy with some fucking effects that I can make. I honestly don't care that much. I want to see the
Right.
drama. I want to see who's hooking up in the library at the Strange Academy. Accidentally
Especially-
knocking over a book. Now you cast a spell and like you're now one person. I don't give a what the fuck's happening.
Especially when you have the cast.
Oh shit, there's literally a movie about
I
something
know,
like
I
that
know,
coming
I know,
out
I know.
soon,
That's
right?
what was on my mind.
Especially when you have the cast that they have. Like they're
you-
not
Yeah.
going out. They're getting great actors. So I think you're right. I mean, shit. Agatha was such a great example with all the practical effects and practical
Mhm.
sets, where it's like I love that series, and it wasn't because I was blown away by the special effects every week. It was like, no, they're having
No.
fun. Every week's an excuse to do a fun improv acting exercise.
And you mean to tell me that like fucking Xochitl Gomez won Dancing with the Stars has like 2.5 billion TikTok followers? Come on, that pays for itself. Have her show up. You don't need
Use her.
you don't need Cumberbatch. He doesn't need to be there. Maybe show up one episode.
Right.
Benedict Wong will show up. You have the fucking Minotaur guy. I don't know.
Have her accidentally punch a hole into another universe. Have the kids fall in, and an episode requires them to find their way back. Like there you go, right
Yeah.
there.
There you
Story
go.
writes
Yeah.
itself.
Bob Iger, my DMs on Twitter are open. I'm very easy to contact.
You're
Hey, I'll give you
overthinking this,
AC's
Bob.
number.
You're overthinking it.
Yeah.
It's real simple.
Yes. So with Ironheart concluding, Phase 5 is over. Phase 5 has ended. We are moving on to a new phase, a big phase for the MCU as it involves Doomsday and Fantastic Four, Spider-Man. We're getting into the heavy hitters are coming back. We have a lot of things going on, and we're looking forward to talking about those things as we go in a couple of weeks with Fantastic Four. But the first thing that we do have to do, because now that Phase 5 is over, we have to give out awards. So that's what we will be doing next week. We will be doing the Phase 5 award show. And when we did the Phase 4, I can't believe it's almost been 3 years since we did Phase 4. That is just insane that it's been that much time since that's passed. But basically, essentially what we do is we rank the shows, we rank the movies, we go favorite newcomer, performance, all of those things. We have a bunch of categories. Jake made a Google Doc that is currently on our Twitter account. if you want to get involved and send your votes in.
It will also
and,
be in the description of this episode.
Yes. So like if you want to get involved with that, and we will talk about it next week. It's the I remember doing the Phase 4 one, had a lot of fun going back because people were heavily critical of Phase 4. But then when you go back and really go back and think about everything that happened, you're like, oh, wait a minute, there was a lot of good shit in here. And and I think Phase 5 even more criticism, but also I think when you go back, you'd be like, oh, there's a lot of good shit in here, especially the last couple of things that we got, because I really enjoyed Ironheart and I really enjoyed Thunderbolts. So there's going to be a lot of stuff to revisit.
Wait, AC, we got a last minute question on the Discord.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
JKL says, "Would y'all watch a spinoff with Cree Summer, Lisa Bonet, and Erykah Badu? Just life in the shop."
Yep.
Oh well, 1,000%. I'd be there.
And what is Erykah Badu gonna be wearing? Because I feel like I'm there already. Let's go.
Yes. That is the equal to a yes. A yes on all fronts as far as that's concerned.
Mm.
So thank you, JKL, for that last minute question.
Yes.
I
figured you'd enjoy that.
Hey, no, that's a good question. It's a great question.
Someone on Twitter
was
like, does Cree Summer have it in her contract that all her characters have to wear big ass hats? she do love a big hat, man.
She really do.
That was some good black acting too when she was doing, like, they're talking about magic, but she was treating that girl like, you better get your ass in the house by street lights. like they're talking about like mystical worlds and all this shit. Like, don't you bring no Mephisto up in here.
even her and Riri's mom had a good rapport, like earlier in the I think it was the first episode where she came back from MIT and they were having the back and forth and stuff like that. Yeah, that was fun too. So yeah, I mean, just from a stamp, like, salute to the, like, a lot of people said this on Twitter, and I tend to agree. Like, a lot of the folks give Ryan Coogler the EP credit, but we also have some wonderful Black women writers, Black women directors. We had Chinaka Hodge. She was the creator, head writer, executive producer. Sam Bailey, director. Angela Barnes, director. Salute to them for putting this together.
Yeah.
And yeah, that I mean, listen, the isms are always gonna ism, but I'm happy that we got to see this show finally.
I did mention one more thing. The styles of everybody. It was just, this is one of the more eclectic looking groups of characters in the MCU. And that was so cool to see that they found like another way to still have a different visual appeal and aesthetic than other series so late into it.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more on that front. And yeah, I'll be happy to go back, and I was gonna run back them last 3 episodes again because I just think the lead up to Mephisto is a lot of fun. So I'm gonna run those back this weekend and view some more Ironheart as we get ready for our Phase 5 award show, then Superman, Fantastic Four. We are rolling this month. A lot of fun. I saw F1 last week, and I felt like I wanted to run through a wall, so I'm all into going to movies right now. Oh, man, that was a lot of fun. What a fun movie. Really enjoyed that. And yeah, so a lot of time being spent at the theater over the next couple of weeks. So looking forward to that and talking about it with you guys. I want to thank Rod for coming on and joining us as always, sir. Where can we follow you and find you, my friend?
The Black Guy Who Tips, theblackguywhotips.com, and on Twitter, I'm Rodimus Prime. You can find me posting memes of Jason Whitlock's face.
God, I said it to you, Rod.
It never fails.
It is the best art project of the 21st century. Every way you find to change it, every single time, it makes me laugh. The pirate one was fucking unbelievable. You're just like, you never. It's every time.
I'm just glad someone enjoys them as much as I do making them. I was trying to explain them on the podcast, and I just laughed through the whole. I was like, I don't even know that I've explained it to people who can't see it. I just know that I can't even say it without laughing.
And the best thing too is I'm someone who I don't know what most people do, but I'm someone who I scroll up on Twitter. So I always see what's being quoted first. So the moment I see a photo of a beautiful black woman, particularly a lighter skinned black woman with large breasts, I know what's gonna be above it. I know. It's like when there's that photo of Journey Smollett and Margot Robbie. I'm like, I know why this is being quoted.
Yeah. Someone, I saw someone use the meme for like another pic, and I was like, wow, you're not even photoshopping it. Come on, man. What are we doing here? Come on, man. You got to give him the captain eye patch and the hat, man. Come on. She said the water's fine. But yeah, it's the most fulfilling thing I'm working on right now. Some people have children. I have the Jason Whitlock meme.
So enjoyable and so enjoyable talking to you, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Always.
And Jake, of course. And Jake, how about you, sir?
You can follow me on Twitter at the Jake Christie. Follow me on Blue Sky at Jake Christie. Follow me on TikTok at the Jake Christie. And don't follow me if you see me in real life. Sorry, I think did I tell you, AC? Yesterday for the first time I was walking down the street in my neighborhood, and someone just goes, "Museum of Twitter," and I'm like, I'm too close to home.
Shit.
I'm a little close to home.
Oh my God.
He was a nice guy. Shouts to Thomas. I don't think he listens to this pod, but shouts to him. I was
so
like a block away from home, and he's like, "Do you live around?"
Recognized out in the wild,
and he was like, "Do you live around here?" And I'm like, "Yes, but I'm not going to dox myself because I'm going to be like, I live like a block away. I've just left my house."
Oh goodness gracious! Yeah. Mini celebrity Jake Christie. Who would have thunk it? Wonderful, wonderful stuff.
Yeah, and that made me realize I probably can apply to Raya. So watch this space.
Oh man, you can follow me on Twitter at Anthony Canton _3. If you're looking for other thoughts from me on anything else, this past week I was on the Greg Cody show with Greg Cody and his son Chris. Shout out to Yeti Blanc, the producer. I was giving them info on my life as a mailman, and I got to talk about the dogs and all of the stuff that goes on with that, and some of the things that annoy me about customers. And yeah, we had a good conversation. So if you want to check out the Greg Cody Show podcast wherever you get podcasts. They talk to I think they talk to somebody who sells bacon, and they talk to a hitchhiker, and they talk to me. So that was their show this week. So check that out if you want to know about my life otherwise. But yes, Anthony Canton _3 on Twitter. Follow the show on all platforms at MC University Pod. Like I said, subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Patreon, the whole 9 yards, the whole shebang. Until next week, when we get to the Phase 5 awards and everything that we do, I will say for Rod and Jake, I am Anthony Canton III. My watch is over. I don't have to be a detective anymore. I found Mephisto. Mephisto is here. And thank you for listening to Marvel Cinematic University. We will talk to you next time.